Hey guys, it's Cody. I'm on day 81 of the Odin project. Let's jump into what I did today. So, for those of you who are following this week, I started the final JavaScript project and I'm making my own application, my own web app. So, we have the landing page here, we have the sign up page here, and when you sign up, you actually go to this plans page to select a plan. And yesterday I left off when you click on this button, it would go to an empty dashboard page. But as you can see, it is actually producing a full UI for the dashboard. It's not fully functional, but it's visually all there. So I'm going to jump into this and show you guys what I did with that today. Let's take a look at the UI first. This is the home page of the dashboard, this home tab. And you're going to see this is going to look a lot like the Odin project's admin dashboard page because I am copying over from that because I think it's going to be good for the functionality of the website that I'm developing. There are some things that are different about it. There's no buttons over here. I don't necessarily have the user image right here and their name. I do have some statistics over here that are just static for right now, but I'll be updating those in a future video and in future components. But yeah, I had to change things slightly structurally and then also update the styling for this design that I'm using. If we actually take a look at this, these tabs actually work too. These ones don't have anything on them, but these guys do, and these ones are actually associated with what I want to do with the web app. Before I dive in and show you guys those in more detail, let's go back to our code and take a look at the route switch. So today I did a lot with the dashboard page, but I also did a pretty significant structural change with my website and my folder structure over here, specifically within components. If I open these two folders up, you're going to notice that there's a lot of components that are being listed, and when they were all in one folder, it was getting to be a bit much. So I decided to separate them out according to home and dashboard. And essentially, home is going to be where new users are going to come to and see the website. So they're going to go to the landing page, they're going to go to the sign up page, they're going to go to the plan page if they're going to actually sign up. These are the components that help with generating those pages. And then the dashboard is going to be stuff that is specifically for users that have subscriptions to the website. So it's going to generate this dashboard page and it's going to generate these specific tabs. Well, again, we'll dive into those tabs a little bit later, but I want to point this out. One of the things that inspired actually making the structure, the folder structure like this, is I wanted to separate out those two flows of new users and current users. And specifically, I wanted to keep in mind the rendering of components. I didn't want the top nav to be shown on this dashboard. The things that are on the top nav are more for new users. I didn't want the top nav to be shown, but I didn't want to have to make the top nav render on each one of the new pages of the landing page, the sign up page, and the plans page. I looked up about nesting routing. That's what we have here. We have nested routes. So we have this home route, and then underneath that we have a landing page route, a sign up box route, and a plans page route. Really, they're pointing to these paths and then rendering these components when those paths are navigated to. If we take a look at the home page though, we have the top nav, which is what I was talking about earlier. We have this top nav up here. We have the outlet, and then we have the footer, which is all the way at the bottom for this page. So this is the landing page because the landing page component is the index route. So whenever we're at this root directory, we also generate the landing page. And so that's where this outlet component actually comes in. It'll take that component that is supposed to be at that path and actually render it in the location of the rendering here. So it's going to be in between the top nav and the footer. And that'll be done for each of these pages. So the sign up page and the plans page is the same thing. If we go to the sign up page, we'll see the top nav and we'll see the footer down here. And then if we go to the plans page, we'll see again top nav, the content, and the footer down here. That was one of the advantages of doing that. Also, if I go to the dashboard page, now the top nav is not there. And that's what I wanted ultimately from the beginning. In addition to that, I have some routes that are specific to the dashboard page, so new users can't access them once I actually have the logic and stuff set up for that. But it's not apparent from the first thing that users see that they can access this dashboard. So with this dashboard, we have a state that's being set, that's page title, and we also have this callback on page change function. I'll get to those in a little bit, but if we go down to the rendering, we have this div, we have the dashboard nav bar, which is this bar right here. We have the dashboard menu, which is this top white menu right here. And then we have the outlet, which is going to be all this content down here. And it's going to be similar to what I said with the home page. All these nested routes are going to be then used to generate content within here based off of what these components actually generate. So going back here, is this outlet is where those components will be rendered. The page title and the on-page change come into effect with this title up here. So each page is going to have a dynamic title that is specific to the tab that the user is clicking on. Let's go into the nav bar now, because that's where that stuff becomes important. So this is where we actually have the links to the paths for each of these tabs. So we have a link to home, we have a link to lexicons, etc., etc. But within this component, we also have the on-page change function actually passing as a props. And that on-page change is being used within the on-click function to set a new title for the page. So that's where this dynamic title comes from. We're actually changing the state up here with the set page title and the on-page change functions. So if we go down to the link, I wanted it so that if they clicked on the link space, which would be an A element within HTML, then I want the on-click function to fire and to set a new page title, which I'm setting the page titles down here with an arrow function that is going into the on-click function. And that is how we're getting this. So each one of these has a unique title that's being actually sent to that on-click, which is then going to the on-page change and going back to set page title to change the state and then update the menu up here. Because remember, the menu, this dashboard menu is actually not within each one of the components. It is at this dashboard level. So we need to change that upper component state. And when we actually go to the dashboard menu, so that's what I was talking about here, the page title comes through as a prop and it's going to be used in that H1 tag. In addition to that, I would like these stats to actually be specific and also maybe some text to explain the search bar here. That would be specific for each one of these pages. But I'm going to get around to that eventually. At this point, just glad that I was able to get that header changed. So let's take a look at these pages now, because these pages are unique. I'm actually utilizing the data that I'm going to be using for this website, and that actually is the core value of the website to generate these pages. These are sensory lexicons for specific products, and they have the lexicons themselves have data that it's associated with them. I just generated just a couple pieces of data here just to see what this looks like. But this is going to be true for these 3 pages. The data is going to change because it's different data sets that I'm using, but I wanted to just be able to play around with the data to actually start designing the UI a bit more, so I needed some data to work with. And I'm just using, again, just the JSONs to do that right now. So if we take a look at this attributes page, the component that's being used and rendered is going to actually load the attributes array and load that attributes JSON file. And then it's going to create a content div, have the main content as opposed to the side contents on this first page, which you don't have on here. Within the projects container, which I'll probably change that name, we have the attributes array actually being mapped over. And for each object within that array, it's going to generate these tiles. So specifically, it's going to have the attribute name, the modality, which is what we see here, the definition here, and I also have the evaluation, which I need to change this to evaluation. And that should update. Yeah, so now we see that these evaluations are different than the definitions. And I was pretty happy with this. I'm probably going to use these cards. I might modify them a bit, but I want to have multiple ways that the user can actually view this data. So this is going to be one of them for sure. And I'm going to make some specific for each tab, but this is pretty much the same thing that's being done on both of these two other pages. It's just that I'm using a different data set for those pages. That's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe if you're interested in following mine and Emily's web development journey. And I will see you guys tomorrow with our weekly update.